Hi guys, welcome to another fireside chat. This is episode, I believe, 3, and today we're going to be talking about trip planning and geotagging. And what Joel? What's your experience with like trip planning? What have you done in the past? I guess I want to ask.
I mean, generally speaking, I've relied on Google Maps just to kind of search an area. What I would do, generally speaking, is get a feel for a specific area we want to head towards, whether it be a trail or something, or just an area we want to scout for camp. And I would go ahead and search the surrounding area, see if there's any forest roads that link up, and if so, kind of try and get a little more detail. Based on the name of the forest road, I would then research it online and see if anyone's tried it. If not, I think it was always good to just put it on the plan but establish a plan B just in case that didn't work. But that's how I would normally go about it. That's how I
Yeah.
started anyway.
I've looked. I usually play around with Google Maps and I try to find interesting places. I guess. I mean, it's always trial and error. Especially, I've had some times where you just go somewhere and it's just a total bust as far as like the area goes. It can look super nice on Google Maps. Like for example, like leading to a lake or something. Like you find a trail leading to a lake and you go there and it's like completely desolate and it's an awful area. But I think it's worked out for us. I think for the most part, me personally, I've winged it a little bit, but I mean it's worked out pretty well. Is there any other tools that you've used personally, like that, to help you out, like as far as like trip planning goes?
Yeah, I mean, I recently, and when I say recently, within the last maybe 2 months or so, I kind of found out of Google My Maps, which is not the same thing as Google Maps. Google My Maps actually allows you to make your own map route down to the finest detail if you want. I mean, it allows you to make a driving path, a walking path, hiking path. It'll give you all the mileage distance. It'll give you your coordinates. It'll allow you to input little tags if you want to drop pins with labels on it based on what it might be, whether it be a sleeping area, camping area, hotel, change in direction. But that was a very, very versatile tool, and it actually allows you to share it if you like with the party, where you can moderate if you allow certain individuals to adjust the map or add to it, or if you want them just to view it. So that's kind of nice that you could actually keep it for yourself, save it in a log. You can print it, share it, do as you please. But that's a really cool one that I would like to get better at using.
And there's a lot of Google services that are, they're free, like Google Maps, Google Earth. I've heard some people use that as well. And then this new thing, I think you use Google My Maps for this actually trip that we're on right now. You upload it to Drive, and we could all, look at it, modify it. If one of us found something that was interesting, we could modify and add it to this trip planning. And I think it worked out pretty well. I mean, for the most part, for this trip.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to, look more into that and kind of, like you said, fine tune it and kind of, get, settled on a way to just plan a trip, without any hiccups, because it's hard to. The problem is it's hard to share. Like if you're planning with other people, it's hard to plan a trip together when you can't share like the route, And I think that's our past experience with like Google Maps. But yeah, as far as this trip, you think if it's gone as far as planning, is there anything you've changed so far, like as far as our trip this time around?
Yeah, I mean, we've had to reroute just like anything. Honestly, my approach to a route is always, like I said, your plan A is what you would hope comes out of the trip and out of the planning, but there's always got to be a plan B and sometimes even a plan C, because you have to expect the unexpected anytime you're driving long distances or anytime you're just planning anything that has to do with the outdoors. You can't determine nature, you can't determine accidents, you can't determine mechanical problems, you can't determine everything. Things just come up sometimes. So, in theory, yeah, most of it, I'd say a good 80% of this trip went according to plan, which is really, really good, considering this was one of our longest trips all in one run with the hybrid of camping, trails, and staying in rooms and sightseeing and so forth.
Yeah.
It was a big hybrid.
Yeah, there was a lot of balancing doing, like as far as like what days we're camping, what days we're staying somewhere. There's a lot. There's times that we had something planned and then we had to change it and like camp or stay somewhere, and vice versa. But I think it's worked out pretty well so far. I mean, you've also mentioned using like forums and things like that, like resources like that to look for places.
Yeah, forums are a good wealth of knowledge. I mean, it could be hit or miss. Sometimes people will post on forums like hidden gems if you're lucky enough to find them, or just places that you won't always find that are very commercial. So it's always good to kind of just double check. Or if you want a more in depth review of that area, you might get lucky and someone might have just ran that trail and wrote up a review. So it's always good to kind of just use it as a secondary source. It doesn't hurt. The more you know, the better. But for me personally, when it comes to trip planning, I'm a real big stickler for efficiency. I don't know if I might have got that from my dad or something, but I mean, I don't try to let it get so invasive into my experience, but I definitely like to try to keep things in some form of order. I mean, I'm okay to deviate away from it. I like some kind of consistency, and like I said, not to keep pushing Google My Maps, but I'm just saying that that tool in particular allowed me to visualize what this trip would be like in a simulated scenario. Okay, this route to this route is this many miles, but it would take me roughly this much time, depending on, what might happen on the road. So it was just nice to get a visual like that because it really helps settle and settle me and my nerves, but also gives me some kind of an expectation, a goal to set for myself. How much do we need to travel a day to reach our areas of points of interest without getting fatigued, but finding a good balance? So once again, that's a key thing for me when it comes to long distance.
I think it definitely like kept us on track for the most part. I mean, we've had a few hiccups where we had to stay an extra day somewhere, but for the most part, it's kept us on track with timing. I mean, we're right on time, and we're not. I don't think. I mean, personally, I don't feel like stressed out about time. I feel like we've had a good time everywhere we've stayed. Um, I mean, would you change anything as far as like how we plan this trip, or like just in general, like for future trips, like how to plan them, like would you modify the way we did it?
Not necessarily the way we did it. I would say give us more time to invest into the planning. And when I say that, it's not just throwing ideas, but actually putting concrete ideas together and understanding, is it efficient? Is it completely away from where we're going? Is it going to work? Is it going to be enough of an enjoyment to driving time? How's that going to balance out? Now, like I said, overall, I was impressed with this being such a big trip for us that it went as smoothly overall as it did. But there was a little bit of a day or two here where we could have maybe cut something out and made it even that much better. But once again, it's a learning experience.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
you
It's
don't
always.
you don't know all
I,
this off the bat. You
yeah.
kind of got to
I
take
don't.
it as it
I don't
comes.
think it ever stops being trial and error. I mean, things aren't ever gonna go 100% your way, and you got to be able to redirect and kind of, you know, uh, find a way to kind of make it work for you. So it's definitely, yeah, I don't think it ever stops being trial and error for the most part.
Yeah. How about you in terms of that? Like, how would you make an adjustment for a future trip of this length or of this
I mean,
variety?
I think definitely for me, as far as lengthy trips like this, I'd never. You plan to spend time at certain places, and you have these things going on, whether it be visiting a park or something, some kind of a activity you have planned. But for me, I did not take part in. I didn't think about the driving time we would invest getting to these places, and sometimes we would get there and I'd be exhausted, and I just want like a chill day, like I just want to hang out and really do nothing. You kind of just sit there and just kind of rest, both your body and mind, because it's some of these drives are just super long, and you gotta really, you don't really enjoy yourself. I don't think you really enjoy yourself as much as if you were like fully rested. So I think I think I would think about more the driving time and the
Yeah.
time we have to invest in that for future planning, definitely. And then, like you said, definitely there's some places that are just drive-through places that are just sleep places, and I would plan those better. But other than that, I think this trip has gone pretty well. I think that's what we'll do for the future. Honestly, just kind of change a couple things, but I think we're fine tuning it as we go, and I think we've
Yeah.
done pretty well. Now back to, you said using forums and using resources like that. Um, what do you think about this? I think geotagging has been a little bit of a hot topic lately, with a lot of places getting like shut down, like Pismo Beach, and then just social media in general has really, spiked the usage of our lands and these places. And I mean, what do you think about the? What's your thoughts on the geotagging?
I mean, I think geotagging is a nice thing to acquire as far as a skill to kind of have on your belt. If you're kind of that kind of person, you enjoy exploring on that level, whether it be by foot, by car, you enjoy finding coordinates and so forth. If that's your thing, I think it's a great tracking method. Where I think it goes wrong is overexposure, which I feel like that doesn't just apply to the outdoors or areas. I think that's just in general for anything. Social media is a great tool, but it has harmed a lot of other things. It has become almost like a plague in certain instances. I mean, a lot of places locally, we're from Arizona, a lot of places locally have been shut down or regulated heavily as a result of social media exposure. And I mean, that's kind of the expected, from a situation like this. Of course, you see something. I mean, we've all been guilty of this, right? You scroll through your feed, you see something you like, a cool picture, and you're like, where is that at?
Exactly.
And if they tag it, you're like, I'm going there at some point, or somehow, eventually, maybe I want to go there. Now, I think there's a fine line. If you really must geotag, I feel like very populated areas that are already pretty commercial, I mean, you're not gonna keep it a secret. It's already popular.
Yeah.
It's already something that's it's been out there for years and years, even before social media. So there's no way around that. Geotagging that, I think, is just kind of fair game. Now, where I feel like I draw the line is you don't want to go to these, take these backcountry roads or take these forest roads, or you went off road to get to these areas that are maybe a gem to you and a few other lucky people that have found it, and then go on dropping your coordinates, your pins where you set up camp, and then tagging it and geotagging it all over the place for other people to come in. I mean, not respect the land and then trash it, and before you know it, they're gonna close off more roads, and then it's just social media brings in all kinds of people. Those that are enthusiasts and those that are casuals or regulars that just want to go out there and have a good time. And everyone's entitled to a good time.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you also have to respect the area, and a lot of people don't consider that. They think they can do as they please. They're entitled, and that's where it's like, well, that's where the downfall of geotagging hits, I believe.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, personally, I think social media has done more harm than good. I mean, like you said, as far as like campsites and stuff like that, I think if you geotag, I think on one of our videos, like Lone Rock, for example, if we geotag that's not a secret to anybody. I mean, it's heavily used, and I know it might bring more people in, but I think it's just a general use area, and people are going to come in and people are going to find it. But if you are investing the time to go to these back roads and explore and investing so much time and money, and then you go and find these special places, and then you go and geotag them, and all these people, this hordes of people, come in and they ruin that place. Because let's face it, people will be people, and there'll be. I'm not saying everybody doesn't respect the area, won't respect the area or the land, but you'll get those few that won't, and they'll ruin it for everybody else, and it'll get shut down, and then nobody will have access to it. And I mean, I don't personally like to geotag, just because I don't want these places to get closed down, because I feel like we're pretty respectful as far as like our land goes. And I know our land belongs to everybody. It's everybody can use it, and everybody is entitled to have a good time and see these places. But I think using social media for geotagging and stuff like that, it's gonna get a lot of places closed, honestly. I think.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of traffic. I mean, things we've done in the past that I myself do, and I don't think is necessarily problematic, is if we're in an area that's kind of off the beaten path or something, and we found a nice spot, and it's a little more isolated. You could tell it's not an established campground or something of that sort. And we take a nice photo, and you want to show people where you were, because that's part of what we do. We want to share our experiences with you guys. What I find reasonable is to maybe geotag the nearest town, or even the second town furthest from the area, something in the general area. But I mean, an area that encompasses hundreds of miles of land, not just like we're a few miles down from so and so road, here it is. Like, no, people still will find a pretty good way to get around. You want to try and minimize traffic if it's possible. So I've done that, and generalizing an area just to kind of give people a focal point is fine. But in my opinion, anyway. But I mean, down to the coordinates, down to the area, down to dropping pins. No, I mean,
Yeah.
I've gone as far as to hold back from some of my acquaintances or friends, even from telling, just because I kind of know the type of friends or type of people they might be. And I mean, it's not to be judgmental or nothing, but it's just I feel like, you know what, we found this, we took the time and effort to locate this area. I'm not saying we were the first ones, we're not pioneers, but I mean, we located it through efforts. I mean, I would hate to share it so willingly with you, and then you become the person we're trying to prevent from ruining these
Yeah.
places. So I mean, I guard them pretty well. I keep them within a close group of people that I trust, and just hold it down. But I mean, I don't know if that's considered selfish. It's just me trying
I
to
mean,
take my part in preserving
I mean,
the area.
and these places don't hold this, like you said, special place, and it's something you found maybe even by accident. I think we found a few places just by accident, and
Yeah.
it's just these places are just pretty amazing to us. And you can call it selfish, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm not gonna share them with you. And I mean, like you said, I can maybe tell you like the nearest town, but I'm not gonna give you coordinates. Um, we like to keep these places close to heart, and I think a lot more people should do that. I think, I mean, exploring is fun in itself. I think a lot of people would find it fun to put that effort, and the place ends up being the reward. Some of these places, you're like, God, this was along dirt roads, bumpy, it was terrible, but this place we got to, this area is just awesome. Like and that's the reward. Like you found this place by putting yourself through all these, all these obstacles and stuff. So I think it's a reward in itself. But yeah, I mean, uh, I don't think I'm gonna be geotagging anytime soon. So
Yeah. No, I mean, that's just kind of my take on it. That's how I feel. But yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll be lucky and stumble upon the same thing.
yeah,
But
and you can share if you want, but
so, I mean, the
share it
choice
with
is
us
yours.
first.
Yeah, the choice is yours, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, you've seen it, I'm sure, wherever you are. Even if you don't live in Arizona, I'm sure in your state there's been a few areas that might have been, maybe take it back 5-6 years or so, and they were pretty good. Maybe they weren't completely lonely, but they were nice, they were quaint, they were quiet, only a select few. And now they're either, like I said, they're regulated, you need permits, or they're closed or trashed all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's just it's hard, it's a gamble. And I mean, this hobby's become so popular over the years. Last maybe 2-3, it's boomed. So yeah, it's become a rising thing. I feel like even on like Instagram, for example, I feel like there's just people that they want the credibility of being an outdoorsy person. So
Yeah.
they'll go to these places and shoot these like really nice photos and stuff, and that just kind of promotes the lifestyle. Like, I want to take part in that too.
Yeah, I want to
So,
be able to share that picture,
yeah.
or I want to.
I want to tag that I'm in
A
this.
good example, I
forest
think,
or
is Horseshoe
something.
Bend.
Yeah.
Horseshoe Bend is getting so commercialized, and I've never been, unfortunately, but I've heard of they're building like parking lots. And you actually went a few years ago, didn't you? And
Yeah.
it didn't used to be.
I think it was 2 years ago I've been there, and
And
there was
even-
no fence, there was no pay. It was just a parking lot. It was dirt parking lot, not even paved.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was no
So-
railing. It was the regular Horseshoe Bend you're used to, but that's gone.
Yeah, so I mean that's a good example. So I mean, yeah, I mean I think that sums it up for a good time. I mean,
Okay.
for a good example as far as like getting things geotagged and getting them ruined pretty much. But
For sure.
I mean, what do you guys think about geotagging? Do you guys share all your places, or I mean,
Or what do you guys use to
Yeah,
trip plan?
as-
We're
as
more
well,
than
yeah.
we welcome all kinds of
Yeah, I
suggestions.
mean,
so
we'll-
drop a comment and let us know.
as always, this is a learning process. So yeah, I mean, look forward to having you guys to the next fireside chat, and I think good.
Sounds good. All right, till the next one.
Till next time.